Ladies and gents, we are live. Dylan, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me,
All
Mark?
right.
My guy.
Hey everyone. It's a gorgeous Saturday here in the southeastern United States. Reese is not available today. He is in Milan, Italy, having a much better life than Dylan and I, but Dylan and I still have great lives as well. I'm actually en route from North Carolina back to Georgia, but we cannot miss an Evtol live stream. So I pulled over. I'm in a truck stop. Hopefully, don't have any issues. I got an aircraft propeller in
Oh
the
my
back
gosh.
of the truck, and then I got
Love
my
it.
Forrest Gump lawnmower that I'm pulling with a trailer. So I'm
Love
one of
it.
those guys today. But
I love it.
how you getting along, man?
I'm doing well, Mark. Thanks for asking. It's been a busy weekend, but also just be honest, have kind of been mentally rolling some eVTOL and Archer thoughts. So excited to talk about it and kind of crowdsource it. So chat too if you got anything going, throw it in, and I hope everybody's having a good day.
That's right. Yeah, everybody in the
Yeah.
chat seems like we got about 10 with us right now.
Nice.
If you got comments, you want us to talk about something specific, please just place it in the comments and we'll chat about it. But one thing that I want to start off with, and it's kind of what we ended with on when we did it, Wednesday, last Wednesday, was Supernal. And someone in the chat had brought up the an eVTOL company called Supernal. I don't know, since I'm on my phone, if I can show the photo of it, but the thing basically looks exactly like an Archer. The only difference is that the rear propellers are pushers and they articulate downward, and then the forward propellers on the booms are pullers and they articulate upwards. And after looking a little bit more at that design, from my perspective, from an aerospace engineer's or well, mechanical aerospace engineer's perspective, um, it makes me now question uh, Archer's design. It makes me question: is there a redesign to four props, which they say there is? But is Archer going to stick with just the aft props only being vertically mounted and not articulate down? Um, the beauty of what supernal design is all of your propellers are always working
Mhm.
in your favor. They're either all of them are providing downward thrust for vertical lift in the vertical takeoff uh, portion of the flight. And then when you convert, you have a much more seamless conversion. And then obviously when you're in standard flight, you are you have no drag penalty. All of your propellers are working to your advantage. You could even theoretically feather those propellers and start bringing them offline and or feather some of your propellers, either your front or your rear propellers to be a little bit more efficient in wing-borne flight, since the wing is doing most of the lift for you anyway. So, um, but before we get any further, without any further ado, everyone, let's wish Dylan a happy belated birthday. Dylan turned 40 on Friday.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was so kind to everybody that reached out. Big thank you to Liam. I was like a day late seeing the video, but honestly, man, that like touched my heart that somebody would do that. And thank you for everybody in the chat and anybody in the community that reached out. Had a great day. It was very low key, just with the wife. Got to kind of have a relaxing night with my young 4-year-old at home as well. So yeah, turned 40, but yeah, feels good and didn't go too crazy. But no, really, I really appreciate everybody who reached out. It brings a real smile to me. So thank you, everybody. Thank you.
That's great. Well,
Thank
glad
you, man.
glad you had a happy birthday. Let me jump into some of the comments here real quick.
Yeah.
Uh, and everyone too. It's just today. It's just myself and Dylan. So we have the U.S. contingency. So forgive us, this is the first time we're doing this, and I'm trying to run this thing from a cell phone. So it's if we if it's not as seamless as when Liam is running the show, there's reason why. Um,
You're doing great.
yeah, but Tom said
Hey, Tom.
the full scale. Yeah, hey Tom, the full scale technology demonstrator looks nothing like the concept. Also, the Supernal CEO stepped down. All right,
Interesting.
that's interesting to
Yeah,
know.
Tom, you got the Supernal info. Man,
Yeah,
that's
let's see.
okay. Yeah, yeah. Let me dive in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll could you look into that a little bit and let's see.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Because I know kind of pre-show for a few minutes, we were definitely kind of touting.
Did I lose you? Did I lose you there, bud?
Oh, I am so, whoops, sorry guys. All right, there we go. There is our not seeing. Sorry guys, I have my wife called me, apologize, and
Oh,
we are
okay.
good.
All right.
Yeah, but no, I know we
Again.
were touting that design. Yeah, sorry about that, but we were touting it pre-show, and we're really seeing some highlights from it. So I'll look in now about the CEO. Absolutely.
All right. Yeah. And Tom also commented TechCrunch just released an article about Supernal pausing operations. With that said,
Wow,
what I had read,
wow.
Supernal is very much in its beginning stages. But the
Okay,
point that I wanted to push out
sure.
was that design where you have both a pusher in the rear and then a puller in the front. If you're going to go with this boom with propellers and a boom on just your main wing, that's what makes sense to me. If you're going to go with that design concept. Of course, Joby's got a different design concept where um, they've got a main wing, but then they've also got um, their rotors are on the horizontal or on the vertical stabilizers. Or I guess they're not necessarily vertical, but um, they're on all of the ends um, of the
Mm-hmm.
wing and then the
Mm-hmm.
verticals, and then they've got just two more that are I guess you'd call it mid station. Um, but with that said, Joby's design, once again, all of the props are operating and they're contributing to vertical lift, and then they're contributing to horizontal thrust in the different modes. And Supernal is doing the same thing, and I do like that. So, oh, look at
No,
this. We
yeah,
got
what you get?
Liam stepping in. We're
Hey,
doing
hey.
great. Love it. We're getting some love from Liam.
I appreciate it, my guy. Thank you so much, and thank you for those birthday wishes, man. Very, very kind of you. Very kind.
Yeah. Z Stacker asks, are they public? They're not public at this time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a privately held company backed by Hyundai, but then also question about just what their operations are going to be in the future. But we'll keep an eye out and we'll watch it. And also, um, we'll see if they have, we'll see if what Archer might do in terms of their design change. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what Archer is going to do,
Yeah,
and what they'll come out with publicly. Um,
and that's a great
with
word too, publicly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, but with that said, I was also earlier today or earlier this weekend looking at Archer's financials. I mean, if you look at their market cap right now, it's at 4 or 5, $6 billion.
Mm.
And at the current stock price that they're at, I mean, even if they came out and just okay, in full transparency, we've got to do a design change, it's for the best. They recognize it, and 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 they're going to into a design change. And then they design, and then they disclose we're going to have a 6 month slip in certification, perhaps. Even if I don't see it that the stock has that much further to go, because if the stock starts going down even more, they're going to get to they're literally their market cap is going to start approaching the cash they have in reserves.
That is correct.
And you look at all of the buildings that they have, and the companies, they're kind of getting close to if they had to liquidate everything,
Hmm.
and they could still make like the stock price wouldn't necessarily go down. So that said, I don't see if my point is if the stock were to drop anymore, you're getting a gift. Because I personally believe Archer is going to be a success. They are going to get certification, and they're also I believe Archer is going to start generating revenue over in the Middle East prior to certification.
And I think that's a great backboard there, Matt. Matt, what am I doing? I think that's a great backboard there, Mark. Because again, as I was talking with you, and I'll be honest, as I always want to be here, as the portfolio, the bigger kind of Archer investor, in the sense of what the portfolio would say, for myself, I think this weekend did kind of leave me a little bit of head scratching. And credit to you, Tom, for also bringing up Supernal. Because after I saw that design and just kind of with the different tilt rotator questions that had got brought up as well, I think I'm stuck a little bit in that position as an Archer investor. Maybe a combination of things going on all at the same time. Being able to cover this space, 2 times a week, do DD on it just about every day. I mean, that's a blessing to be able to kind of keep up with the company, have the expertise of gentlemen like Mark coming onto the stream, and just kind of being able to give the aerospace kind of the facts and fiction again, behind what Archer is doing, and the hope that's maybe being sold versus maybe the transparency and any of the redesigns that are going on.
Hmm.
So I think listening to Mark for, I would say, probably about a month or two, kind of in my head, I've come to the conclusion that there is a redesign going on in the company. But what I've failed to hear from management is that there's a redesign going on in the company. Now, that's not to say that I believe the company over Mark. I actually lean a little bit more towards Mark's way, that there is a redesign. And actually, they kind of came out with it a little bit on the Q4 call, saying that they were going to switch over to the four blade props. So, I think there's a few things that's probably for me, and it's always interesting being invested in this stock market where they say again, this is when stocks go down, these are the sales that we run away from, as opposed to our favorite brands in the stores where, you get
Hmm.
something from Nike, it's off 20%, and then all of a sudden you're buying more, Archer goes
Hmm.
down 10 or 20%, but then you really want to know the why behind it. Why is this stock dropping? And I don't know for me if I can necessarily pinpoint it on a Grizzly short report being what is either scaring investors to that magnitude or bringing the stock price down. But I think it is a combination of a lack of transparency from senior management, which causes me as a retail investor a little bit of confusion on what's going on truly inside of the company doors, and more towards, again, that schedule. Do I think that they're continuing to build, assemble, manufacture parts? I do find that to be true. In my opinion, I find it to be true. But, I know it would be a tough one for Adam to come out and say, and just to be transparent, whether it's on a quarterly earnings call or just come out and just be like, guys, we had a really great design going, but for A, B, or C reason, we
Hmm.
had to divert. And you know what? As I'm saying it, I want him to tell us the truth. Maybe pull the blanket over it and say that you needed to redesign it for your defense program. Like, I don't
Hmm.
know. Do what you need to do, Adam, but tell us what's going on. I think is something that I've just kind of come to with that. And then also with excuse me, with the seasonality, we had a pretty strong August, in the general macro stock market comparative to what some other years will bring on. So you kind of have that bleed over into what can be a little bit more red, September upcoming.
Hmm.
So, and again, not financial advice, but if I'm looking at the fib lines, I was talking to Mark earlier, it looks like the next fib line catch would be at about 710, for an Archer price. And, I think this is the one for me as an Archer investor where, I look for myself, it may be a year in total within a stock, meaning shares that I could accumulate maybe by a certain year's end. And that way, maybe I'm not too heavily allocated into a certain company, a certain sector for my overall portfolio. So when I was fortunate enough to reach those year-end goals a little bit earlier in the summer, now as I look at Archer's price fall down, I'm still a big fan of the company. So, when I wake up on Monday, do I want to look and go buy another 100 shares? That my I don't know if I say my heart or my gut. My brain tells me I want to, but
Hmm.
my gut kind of wants to get a little bit more information from this company, and maybe on a just a random bullish thing right here, or could be bullish. As I was watching the NBC game on Thursday night on the football game on NBC, I'm like, okay, Adam's strategic move, and this is what I think is a little bit of a canary for Archer in my mind as well, is how much coverage is NBC going to be giving to the Olympics, and then also tailoring any of that towards this exclusive air taxi network. That
Hmm.
again, it's not NBC owning and operating, but you clearly can tell that there's a partnership. That's why Adam didn't go on Kimmel on ABC. There's stuff behind the doors of why he went on Fallon, why it was NBC, and all that tied together. So
Hmm.
I'm very curious come between about week 13 to week 17 in the NFL season if we maybe do get one Goldstein appearance. And by that point, we're looking at probably December to January time, where again, if we're following Archer's guidance, which I'm kind of doing through my teeth right now, but I'm still doing, at that point in time, we should be having a piloted VTOL flight, which I would hope would take place both here on US grounds as well as over in UAE.
Hmm.
And also, not a delivery, but a true sale, as Mark was reminding me earlier about. Because even that, even with if one of my favorite stocks, I can get that cloud over my head where I'm just like, just not feeling as bullish or as confident again on the company. And Mark did even remind me, and it wasn't on purpose, but on the quarterly call when Adam had talked and said that they were going to be having revenue through the door before 2025 closed.
Hmm.
And you know, I I have to still lean on that as the company's guidance. But yeah, I'll throw it back to you, Mark, because I think I'm with Archer. I'm falling in a little bit of the basket of that prove it stage. And after seeing that design from Supernal, if I'm saying the name correctly, I was very impressed by the look of it. And again, maybe it's something to and just peel back. It's maybe we can have brand loyalties or something that fits our eye. And it was always something, again, about the Archer design of the aircraft itself.
Hmm.
Personally, it had fit my eye. And again, through the company news and the backing, the financial backing, and some of the partners as well is what gave some of the more investor confidence. Um, but yeah, curious times and kind of feeling like I need to kind of shake out and figure out as September goes through, is it time to build position in new Evtol, continue to look at other sectors in these kind of bullish times in the market, or keep adding to Archer and know that there may be a 6 month delay, but the payoff will come
Yeah.
eventually as long as I'm patient. So
Yeah.
I'll kick it back to you, Mark.
So an interesting thing I was also thinking about as well
Yeah.
is why is Kathy Wood consistently investing in Archer? And why is Kathy Wood not ever
Hmm.
giving any prudence to Joby or any of the other
Great
eVTOL
question.
space? But one thing that I came up with, and this is my own hypothesis,
Yeah.
is that both Kathy and Adam come from the same pedigree. They
Yeah.
both come from finance. They both come from um, capital markets and growing, money and whatnot. And I almost want I'm
Mm.
curious if they know each other or if she
Interesting.
just if they have, throughout the past 20 years have crossed paths. Because if you look at what Adam has done and where he came out of, he used to work for a hedge fund or
Okay.
used to work for different funds
Hmm.
and was an analyst at one point. So, um, and on that topic too, you talk about Adam. He comes out. He's very PR generated. I think it would actually make sense that, again, and that could get into the psychology of the difference between someone who like works in finance, works in financial markets, compared to the engineering mentality. The engineering mentality very much is, I don't want to say anything until I can
Mhm.
show it.
Okay.
As where, and that could be why you don't see, or you typically did not see as much out of Joby, because Jobin is an engineer. He's surrounding himself with all like-minded people, as where Adam is more of, listen, I'm going to create an industry. I'm going to build this, and I'm going to create a brand and build this brand, and I've got to promote this brand. Neither of them are wrong. And I still think both of them are going to get to the finish line. Both of them are going to be successful. Um, I'll put this back up. It was up there just a second ago. Death
Yeah.
Smile said, 6 months is likely at best case scenario, could be a bit longer too. I believe he's talking about if there is a redesign. Let me see. Forgive me, guys. I'm on a phone here, so I'm kind of going
No,
through
you're doing
these.
great, Mark, man. You're
Yeah.
rolling. Yeah. No, you're
Let's
doing
see
awesome.
here. Vast
Uh,
CNC says Archer is well capitalized and they've been at this for a short time frame. He's very, very true. I think you look at the time frame that they've been at, and that is compared to Joby. Uh, but then you also let's see here. Put this in there. I Vast CNC says I think the composite acquisition can help them pivot designs pretty rapidly. Um, Pretty rapidly be having that integrated. And I agree as well, Vass. Um, if you own and if you own if composites and changing up tooling and whatnot can be a lot less expensive, especially now that things are a lot of the composites are done on automated fiber placement machines and whatnot. You can retool a lot quicker, and if you do have that first layer of vertical integration where they can do it in-house, that's going to make them a lot quicker in being able to pivot. And I don't think a design change, if they, I mean, it would be a pretty radical design change to change those half props
okay.
to a pusher configuration. An articulating pusher is what we'll call it.
Okay.
We'll call it a downward articulating pusher. This
I
is what
like it.
happens when you get engineers thinking. Um, but it wouldn't take them too long to redesign that, and if they are going to go that route. That said, this is all purely speculation too. They may be like, no, we don't need to do that. We're going to continue on. We may do that design change years down the road. That could be an STC at some point,
Mm,
or just a different configuration aircraft. I mean, remember, we're at the Model T stage of
mm,
the eVTOL industry. And what did cars look like 15 years after the Model T? There were all sorts of different design changes, and I think we're going to see that as well, as time goes on. Here, let's see a little bit more. Anthony, shout out to Anthony, says, don't fall victim to short-sighted market situations with the phenomenon of time. Hover is just at the beginning. This Hover $65 million market cap is going to be a distant memory one day. Shucks, shoulda, woulda, coulda. And that's very true too. Hover, even though they're in the very beginning stages, um, we all, I personally, I like Hover's design the most, and
yeah.
I think Hover has, in terms of upside of where we are at standing right now. If you had 50,000 in Joby and 50,000 in Archer, and you had $10,000 in Hover stock,
Yeah.
I think you could still, at the end of the day, come out with more money in 5 years, just seeing what their market cap is at, because
That's
uh it's a it's very low for what they currently have.
well, and something,
Yep.
Mark, I really like about Hover as well is, with them talking about the regional transport, and kind of honing in on that and not having it be so much of the hub to hub transport. I do find that as a plus on the Hover side because, again, for the air taxi network to come together, You got to take a step back and realize, and I mean, I know we all realize this, but again, the infrastructure build out to have this all come together. So I know Adam on a uh, Q call had mentioned turnkey, like turning the heliports, basically turnkeying those into vertiports and stuff. But just to
Hmm.
kind of show some light on the hover, I do like the approach that they're taking on the regional and almost being able to, again, if that was adopted into the US, that would be something that would be able to fly me most likely from,
Yep.
out of Virginia down to Charlotte, get down to
Yeah.
North Carolina or something
Yeah.
like that. So, definite use case that would be something useful within my
Yeah.
own life. Yeah.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see. Hover had a news release that back on the 4th, they were presenting to investors, I believe at the Harvard Club. That's down here in the United States. I'm sure. And it's also remind everyone, Brandon's story when he first came on said that Hover originated, that whole design originated out of a group of investors coming to them and saying, bring us a design. And
Hmm.
they came up with the Hover, which leads me to think that most likely, if I was a large investor, and anybody who's going to get into aerospace knows you got to have a lot of money. um and you have to keep nurturing and feeding the design and just the product life cycle maturity. And so I think once Hover gets to a certain point, they already have capital markets in place, that their investors are saying, let's they want to get into this market. And they have a plan in place, and it's now going to just be results based. They've got the money that they need to get to their concept demonstrator, or what they call their technology demonstrator. They will get to that. Hopefully, I would love to see, and I've seen a lot more comments about their S4 or S5. I'm sorry, their S5, their half scale that they have
Hmm. Hmm.
already demonstrated with, and leveraging that as a drone an autonomous drone for delivery of products, potentially leveraging that for military use. That's that's well within the realm of possibility. And we also have coming up now, the RFPs have gone out for the
Great call. Yeah. Great call on
for
that.
the eVTOL demonstrators.
That's a
And so
great call.
those RFPs are going out. um, Hover does have a US office, so they could theoretically um, put requests for proposals in as well. Or they could team with a US company as well. And so there's a lot of potential upside for Hover. All right. Mixifil, Joby and Archer need to remain financially independent from a major parent company or major parent auto company. Toyota could pull the plug anytime if interests aren't aligned. He makes a good point. But also, it's interesting. Toyota has been wanting to get into the aerospace market
Mm.
for a very, very long time. Toyota, way back in the 80s or 90s, actually built a concept demonstrator to get into the private jet market, and get into aerospace. And remember, I mean, you have national pride and national competition
Yeah.
between Toyota and Honda. And Honda has already established itself with Honda Jet, which is made in Greensboro. So I think Toyota's in for the long play with Joby and what Joby is bringing to market. But it is you do make a very good point. If any of these backers, financial backers in the auto industry, pull the plug, you're going to need to be able to, you know, keep the boat afloat
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
uh, and get it across an ocean still. So it is a good point, but I think Toyota's going to be in it for the long haul with Joby.
And maybe I could throw this in there just because it just kind of tickled my brain on it. But again, just one of the pre-combo things I was talking with Mark about was I'm a little curious with Archer too, if there's any kind of internal struggle where it was around December, when the launch edition program, so I guess technically the new administration would have been announced by then. Don't know the conversations internally that Adam would have been able to have with the previous administration, to
Hmm.
this one coming in. But even when that was happening, I was a bit curious because it did seem like the US wanted to be the leader in this eVTOL space. And Adam, to me, has always, and it was a bullish thing, and I'm not going to say it's not still, but it always seemed like he cared about his company, safety one, and then path to revenue two. And
Hmm.
again, we saw that his path to revenue that he was able or willing to publicly state was going to be the launch edition program. So I am a little curious, as they go do these demonstrator flights over in the UAE and such and continue to prove out for GCAA, are you still going to get as much of the administrative support if you're still kind of going left and saying, you know what, I'm not waiting on FAA, I'm going to do launch edition, we're going to GCAA first, and when FAA is ready, administration, we are ready for you. And again, that's taking redesign, like all of that off the
Hmm.
table. But yeah, it does get me curious because again, back in December, I did like how Adam was branching out to look and not being so regulated, like I guess no pun intended, but regulated by the FAA, to get
Hmm.
his product to market. But yeah, if the US is looking to be first in line, you might have to take a look at what's best for your business. Is it what, like, as an Archer investor, I'll kind of throw the hypothetical out to the chat. What would you be more happy with? Would it be better to hear that Archer comes out and publicly says that we've had the 6 month delay, we've started this redesign 3 months ago, but just want to kind of publicly come out and announce it, or maybe something so bold for Archer to come out and say, look, I know that we said we were going to bring revenue through the door by the end of 2025 through the launch edition program,
Hmm.
but for the longevity of the company and really for the bigger chunk, I'm just going to say longevity of the company, we're going to have to actually hold back on launch edition program. And we're now going to be more geared towards TIA cert, and our first rollout of any midnight would be through FAA certification. I think it would be a tough pill for probably the markets to
Yeah.
swallow for Archer. But internal decisions, because again, and again, I want to go back and think again to the scale of rampa manufacturing, because I know I always put those numbers down, so I don't want to misquote them. But I want to say it was around 8 to 12 or so of those that were expected to be manufactured by end of year. So
Hmm.
just kind of getting curious, as we're in September now, 3 months left to go. With him coming off the call a little over a
Hmm.
month ago, saying he had, I believe it was three in final design, five in
Hmm.
production, and he was going to say he had the total of eight. But yeah, but again, where are those birds going to?
Yeah.
Well, as he said, it holds them back for TIA testing. But then again, Mark, like you say, does that go into a STC where you're really just kind of getting your FAA testing done, kind of getting all the other areas of the TIA done, and then you're still having this redesign to the propellers and then to the unknown, like you say, is that going to change some of the power lift
Yeah.
and those features within the aircrafts or no? Yeah.
Yeah. If I would say they're not going to be able to you're not going to go to TIA testing until you have all those designs implemented, though.
Mm-hmm.
They would have to, if they had to, if they were going to a pusher configuration in the tail, they would have to go through they would have to recertify that system. Remember, TIA testing is you go through all of your cert test and then you do TIA test. So you have to certify all of your components at a component level, then you certify at a systems level, and then once you've proved everything through company testing and you've passed all of your cert tests, then you go to TIA as the final test.
That's
But
true.
to that point too, I think they could do them both in parallel. I think
Mm-hmm.
they could be doing you could have three different pillars. You could have the military side where they can now, and let's not, I guarantee Archer is submitting proposals for billions of dollars that the Trump administration has put aside for eVTOLs. Let's not forget all of these companies are, I mean, they are all in the running, and Joby and Archer are the two furthest along. So they are in a very, very prime position to get really lucrative contracts by the end of the year, which can be a calculus changer for everything to say, all right, we're now gonna, we just got we both just got $1 billion contract. And that's how military acquisition projects works. It's not like the commercial markets where, oh, we got to go get
Mm-hmm.
all this investor money to actually build something and certify it and go through TIA testing and then do entry into service. When the government wants something, they put out proposals and they say, "Okay, we're gonna do a fly off." I
Yeah.
think back in the early 2000s, both Lockheed and Boeing to build the F-35, which was at the time the X-35, and then Boeing's aircraft as well. I think each one of those companies got 500. Uh, it was like $600 million a piece
Oh well.
just to build their concept demonstrators, and then and this would be a similar type scenario as Archer and Joby and all the other defense contractors start coming online in the eVTOL space. They will get money up front just to build a concept demonstrator, and then there will be contracts awarded afterwards. And so Archer, that could be a possibility. Archer and Joby both could be in the runnings for large contracts here in the next year to 2 years on the military side. And to segue into that now, or to use
Yeah.
that as a segue, Tom said, I don't think Joby's news of the autonomous flight demonstration led by PACSEF was discussed last stream. Any thoughts on this? Seems like a great sign, Joby leaning into DoD contracts. Yeah, Tom. So to everybody on the channel, um, Joby demonstrated they flew, I think it was, I, I'm not certain. I think it was like, I want to say it was 7 hours or 17 hours, but it was an autonomous flight where they took a
Mhm.
Cessna Caravan
Yeah.
and they flew it autonomous from the mainland all the way to Hawaii. Um, Nobody in the airplane, or no, I believe there was a safety pilot on board just to, go along for the ride. But it's my understanding they like drank coffee and ate donuts the entire way. They didn't touch the flight controls one
Yeah.
step. So, yeah, to that point, just demonstrating that capability right there speaks volumes for where Joby is at.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it, Joby's been working for years with the U.S. Air Force at Edwards with their concept demonstrator with the S4. So now to modify a certified Cessna Caravan and demonstrate its autonomous capabilities, it speaks a lot. Uh, all right, let me go through some more of these comments here.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Makes me feel. I think Adam is putting the focus on the immediate opportunity with defense. They're building something game changing with Anduril. I would not be surprised as well. Makes me feel. I think. Actually, is it Mixophilix? I think it's
Mixville.
Mixophilix. Yeah. we
Come
got to get
back
some of
to us
these
with that one.
we got to get some of these people on the stream so we know how to
That's right.
pronounce everything.
But
But
no,
yeah,
yeah, go for it, Mark.
to that point, you've got Joby demonstrating its capability
Mm-hmm.
by flying an autonomous caravan all the way to Hawaii. Um, and now you've got Archer teaming with Anduril. Uh, Everybody wants a piece of that government pie. And right now they said they allocated like 6 billion or 5.9 billion. That's just the start. We're talking the defense budget's going to be is $1 trillion now. So you're talking 0.5% of the defense budget, if I'm doing those numbers right.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're talking a very small amount of the defense budget. And as these capabilities come more and more online, it's only going to be more money for all these different eVTOL companies.
Well, and too, Phil, I want to thank you too, because for me, even somebody who's taken a long weekend and maybe some extra thoughts with Archer, um, for me, transparently, I'm in no position where I'm thinking that Archer is a sell for me. Again, like I said, I think it's difficult for me because I kind of put the hold on Archer only to diversify the portfolio. But to me, I enjoy the price it's at now. Just for again, what could be in the 1 year kind of return at this kind of low eights and ranges that it's been sitting in. But I do appreciate you because even somebody like me that can come on and be so bullish about Archer, it does help kind of bring back a little bit of just kind of weighs the scales in my brain. So I appreciate you kind of putting those comments as well. So again, I'm not bearish on Archer. Definitely think that there's success in the future, but that's why I really appreciate the community because again, we have Tom that can really balance out the head and kind of speaks a lot to your point, Mark, where Joby again, they're selling the results. They're continuing even if you're not hearing it in the
Yeah,
biggest press releases and such like that. And then on the Archer side, where PR is going a bit quiet, but some of the people that again, I would say like Phil that has been into Archer and probably is keeping up on them on a daily, weekly basis as well. Can just kind of bring a little bit of that like breath of confidence back to somebody like me as the Archer bull. So again, going into Monday, no way in looking to sell out of the position of Archer, but love. That's why we have this community and can bounce these thoughts off of each other.
yeah, I agree. I'm not personally, I'm not in Archer right now,
Yeah,
but I will have no problem buying into Archer. Um, if it goes down a little bit more, it's only going to become more and more attractive to buy into.
sure.
So Death Smiles says, Mark, what do you think of hover and amphibious landing gear patents that could be used for emergency water landings regarding island to island hops? It's pretty interesting. I think that for right now, they'll probably be sticking with just their design. They're going to be focused and they've got the money to just build their concept technology demonstrator. But adding making something amphibious, especially that can land vertically, is just another added use case. And the fact that or the fact that it is hybrid, it can go a long distance. There are certainly a lot of lakes and a lot of untouched locations all throughout Canada, to where it's just again another added use case if they were to go through and with that would almost be a design iteration, I would call it.
Mark, how do you feel with these companies come like 2030? Let's just say we go with the hypotheticals and we'll just stick with Joby here. We get a or Archer, any of the eVTOLs. You get a design, FAA certified, you have them piloted. Do you think by 2030 we would be in a position where we could do autonomous flights? Do you think the market would be ready for that? Do you think the aircrafts would be ready for that?
So I think the aircraft will be ready for autonomous flights
Uh-huh.
out the door. It's going to be a function of the FAA and how autonomous flying aircraft are integrated into the UAS, the um just our system
US airspace,
of
yeah.
yeah, just how it ties in with the airspace. That's good. There's going to need to be a lot of coordination. I, as a pilot, if I'm going to do an IFR flight, it's easy for me. I can literally just get on my phone. I file a flight plan right as I'm sitting in the airplane. I say I'm going to take off in 10 minutes. If it's a nice day, I take off. I call the local controller. They pick up my transponder, and off you go. Um, So it's a very efficient system already, but it still requires a lot of human interaction. Um, I think the FAA needs to kind of revamp air traffic control to, in itself, be a bit more autonomous to allow
Mm.
autonomous aircraft to fly through the airspace. But there are RFPs also going out right now for proposals to, there's requests for proposals, an RFP, um, for companies to bring forth new methods of the aerospace system. And I mean, I was just thinking about it the other day as a business venture.
Hmm.
Uh, and if someone steals this, I'm gonna come visit
We
you
got it
personally.
timestamped.
But yeah, but it's on me for saying it. But you know, right now, my airplane is, you can get, um I think you can get Starlink for an airplane now. You
Mm,
can actually get it mounted and have that on your airplane. And the thought that I had was, well, we're constantly in my airplane, I've got enough sensors in it that gives wind direction, it gives like winds aloft speeds, it gives pressure. Starlink is so fast, you could actually have cameras on it. So you could be constantly taking pictures of cloud bases.
oh wow.
So, and then that data could be sold back to the weather system. And if every aircraft flying in America had that going on using satellites as opposed to ground-based communications,
Interesting.
a much more internet-based system of data transfer, not only could you basically always have up to date weather almost from the exact time it was being produced from all the
Hmm.
different flights flying at different altitudes. I mean, think about it,
Hmm.
almost every airplane would become a weather balloon.
Exactly.
Um,
You have that thing. Everything's tracking as it goes through that real
yeah,
time. Yeah, it's
yeah.
genius.
And what do AI models need? They need data.
Yeah.
So I think, I bring that up uh, because if there's an investor on with a great idea, call me. But
That's right.
also, uh, if if uh, if we go to a more satellite-based and internet-based ATC system,
Hmm.
then every airplane can become its own node, which can be controlled from a ground-based computer as well. Or autonomous flights can be monitored and controlled if there's ever any sort of an issue with them. You can pretty much make a highway in the sky. And think about
Yeah.
that. I mean, imagine if you had that would then usher in the next step of vertical takeoff aircraft, where you and
Mhm.
I and everyone on the chat will be able to walk into a dealership
There
and
you go.
buy our own flying craft. And small airports will basically become something of the past because we'll be able to get in our own craft. You won't need to have a pilot's license because it'll autonomously fly you, and
Absolutely.
you'll say, okay, uh, take me to, I'm in South Carolina right now.
Yeah,
I want to go to Danville, Virginia, or I want to go to DC and see Dylan.
that's right.
And I hop in it, and boom, off we go. And it will fly itself. And it'll be a highway in the sky where when I'm flying, you very seldom see other aircraft. Or if I look down at my iPad, I don't see much aircraft, or
Mm,
there's a lot of aircraft on my iPad, but for me to look out and see them, it's like, oh, that's 3 miles away. In the
mm,
daytime, I can't even see it. At night, I'll see its navigation lights.
mm,
But with autonomous flight and highways in the sky, you could have aircraft that could have, maybe, I don't know, 1,000 foot separation from each other. And it could just be a line
wow.
of aircraft, and you just, like on a freeway, it joins in. The only beauty is if something, if one aircraft up front has an issue, and in this chain, all the other aircraft can just climb in altitude and go around it,
Mm,
or a
mm,
faster aircraft can go up above it, and then
interesting.
so there's all sort there, like it's such a huge
Like a
sky.
autonomous caboose. It's not a caboose, but yeah, this almost train line of
Yeah,
autonomous
yeah.
flight, and yeah, that's very very
but
interesting.
but all of that is going to be held by the how quickly governments can design that type of a system and then integrate that type of a system. But that in itself, I think, could become competitive once we start
W-
seeing autonomous flight happening and eVTOLs happening. it will only grow. Uh, like I've always said, we're a 2D species. We're all stuck on this ball,
Yeah,
but fish technically aren't they're a 3D species, right? They can go at all sorts of different stratified levels in the
interesting.
water, as where us we're stuck, with our butts on the ground.
To what
Uh,
gravity allows.
yep, yep. So
So
again,
with
we're just at the beginning.
and with that, Mark, when you talk about the ATC and stuff, with having Duffy so kind of, and now he does go back a little bit, back and forth a little bit between like beefing up Union Station. So like you'll hear a lot of like aviation news coming out of Duffy, and then all of a sudden left turn, it's like he's all about the trains and diverted to that. So I'm like, all right, Duffy, where's our priority? Which one you're more focused on? What are we doing here? Um, just in your humble experience, do you think an ATC could be redesigned prior to the administration switching over and be implemented? And so
What
give
was
it
the quick?
two and a
What was
half.
it
So
again?
like given about 2.5 years for be it either this kind of Palantir Duffy ATC. I'll take Archer out of it, but just kind of the Palantir ATC and Duffy kind of trying to revamp the whole ATC. Do you think 2.5 years is enough to really put a dent in that, or to make something happen?
Um, yeah, I think so. Like
Okay.
the speed of everything is going so much quicker. So it's uh it's like everything is advancing at a greater speed. And I think what you're going to see is you're going to see governments becoming competitive.
Mm-hmm.
You the Middle East really wants to be the first, and I think that that's what's allowing Adam to leverage the launch edition. Because the Middle East is like, all right, we're gonna forego some of the regulations that are required in the United States because we want to be able to show the public and we want to show the world this is our society. This is the new norm. And then of course, the current administration is very, very competitive. I want to be first. I want to be we want to be the next wave. And it becomes almost a function of national pride or regional pride, where I think the Europeans will want to have a similar
Yeah.
type technology for its populace.
So let's go with that, Mark. And you're talking about kind of UAE, looking to kind of have that showcase first ability. So, could there be anything to being able to do market survey flights? So again, I think I need to nail down or just kind of shake my head back into, if Archer is designing with the two blade, or well, I guess they said they're designing with the four blade, but kind of what we've seen is which one do you remember seeing from UAE? I feel like I get so confused now whether they brought a two or a four over
I
there.
think they brought a four. I'm pretty
Oh,
sure they brought a four.
because basically in that sense, I was almost curious if they did have the launch edition market surveys, because really again, it's been market survey, and I believe it was going to be very. I read something, and it was whether it was US or over in UAE, it was going to be very, I mean, all of these are going to be very mapped out air taxi routes, but it's going to be ones I think they're going to be a lot more open land under them, not flying, over the
Mhm.
cities to start. So, you know, I'm kind of losing the first question here, but basically, maybe with any plan that Archer could, like you say, get to revenue first, go ahead, basically deliver what they're making that maybe wouldn't be able to go through that certification process within the FAA. So, they've kind of started manufacturing these 5 to 8 aircraft. So
Mhm.
basically ship those on over to UAE, and then everything else that starts coming off the production line from there, maybe falling more in line with than either new redesign or any of the notes that they've
Yeah.
gotten from, FAA, DERs, DARs, anything like that maybe been on site. So I don't know, just kind of opening the mind to that thought. So that makes sense.
Again, like I still feel like we're at the flip phone stage, right? Everyone's
True.
walking around with just these flip phones, and remember, like and like sending a text was just like, why don't
Okay,
you just
that's a good
call
one.
them? Because you got to click through, you got
Yeah.
to hit three times on each button to send out a text,
Hmm.
right? And
Absolutely.
now it like we're such at the beginning stages where your phone had so little capabilities. You didn't get news on your phone. It
Yeah.
was just like you just originally it was just for talking. And then the use case was, okay, you can talk and text. Now you can talk, text,
Mm,
listen to, and listen to your music. And now you can FaceTime. And the use the this space is at the very, very beginning stages. And the beauty of it is that you got to get through certification if you're going to commercialize.
sure.
So that means you've got Joby, you've got Archer, you got Beta in the United
Hmm.
States. Um, but I think in the next couple of years, people are going to be throwing money at ideas once this gets out. So if Archer's got to do a redesign, it's I'm not sweating it. They've got the money to do it. Um, and I think that, like we say, we're gonna see Joby go. I unless Joby, I think Joby's design is pretty locked in. I don't really see a need for them to do any design changes, and I think they know that as well. And again, I think Joby will be the first to market, at least from the commercialization standpoint in the United States. But it doesn't mean that, I mean, you're talking they're going to be a first mover, but they're going to be a first mover in a market that's going to take off like crazy.
Well, and again, goes into the Blade acquisition. And Tom, I don't know if you know anything on this, but one thing that I was kind of curious and was kind of making my head shake a little bit over the weekend was, I think I talked to Mark about this, but I'm not sure. But I was reading through the Supernal website, and they were saying that basically they had a partnership with Blade. So that kind of got my head spinning a little bit, thinking, okay, you have this really nice design of an Evtol here. Joby has acquired Blade. Blade has a partnership with Supernal. So is that a way that Joby can kind of get the IP of Supernal under that? I think Mark may have kind of shake that out of me a little
Hmm.
bit, kind of on the details in that. But yeah. So if it's not Joby having their own maybe ride hailing app at that point in time, but like you say, being able to be the ones, like you're saying, first to market, where you do have those landing pad, the takeoff and landing pads that basically they have already secured, and then again, once you get through the certification, start flipping over those traditional helis and putting
Hmm.
those S4s, onto the
Hmm.
pad, and then that will be your mode of transportation.
Yeah.
And probably will fit, the eyes. Because again, for me, I have to be transparent. I'm not a big helicopter rider. I've ridden as many helicopters as I've ridden flip roller coasters, and the answer to be would that would be zero. But I'm not the guy in New York who's taking the Blade service to and from work or to and from the airport to get to those
Hmm.
business meetings every day. So again, I think good job, good acquisition by Joby on that end. So yeah, definitely applaud them and can help them be first to market, like you say, without having
Yeah.
to build the whole app out and getting that business going yet.
Comment that Vasi and C said, he
Yeah.
says, if you look at the Duffy BV loss announcement, that is BV loss is beyond visual line of sight. So right now, if you're going to fly a drone, it has to be within sight.
Mm,
But BV loss is the new announcement where they're going to start allowing drones to fly past visual sight.
mm,
So yeah, if you look at the Duffy BV loss allowments allow announcement for drones, there's a massive demand signal for automated data service providers. And again, that ties into what we were previously talking about with what is the airspace going to look like in the next in the next you asked what eVTOLs are going to look like in the next 5 years.
mm-hmm.
I mean, just what is the overall airspace going to look like in the next 5 years? I really think in the next 5 years, you're going to have, hold on here.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. In the next 5 years, you're going to have a roofer working on a house
Mm,
out in the middle of nowhere, and he's going to break a hammer or he's going to run out of nails.
mm.
And he's going to be able to get on Amazon or get on
Oh, mm-hmm.
some other uh, internet marketplace,
There
and
you
he's going
go.
to order exactly what he needs, and
Yeah.
within 10 minutes a drone is going to deliver that to him. And they're already
I
talking
can.
about doing it for food, they're doing it for medicine. So, we focus a lot on humans and human mobility, but product mobility is a whole other tranche and in an entire, honestly, probably a much larger revenue stream altogether
That's fair.
than human mobility. Because time to market, there was always they call it the last mile, and
Okay.
that's the issue that all of these companies like Amazon and FedEx and DHL. It's
Yeah.
okay. We can get this to a hub, but then we got to get it the last mile.
Oh, okay.
And the last mile is just all right. We've gone 1,000 miles. We only
Yeah.
got 20 more miles to go. So for all ten for from a percentage standpoint, we only got a mile to go. Um, eVTOLs, drones, all of that. It's all once again going to be a function of how do they break up the airspace to where everybody can play in the same sandbox.
That's fair. That's fair. And
What's
do you see
fortunate,
maybe? Yeah, go
yeah,
for it.
what's fortunate, it's a big airspace. It's a really big sandbox that is really untapped at this point.
No, great comment. Great point, Mark.
So, how are we doing, everyone?
D- Hopefully, it's not been too bad for you guys. Again, first timers. Trying to hold a Sunday eVTOL stream down. So, hopefully,
Yeah,
it's been a pleasant listen. What do we got here?
yeah. Francisco Space 5 says for
Ah,
flight on steroids. I like it. That's to his comment about using satellite-based systems like
nice.
SpaceX for flying. So I almost I want to do it. I would love to go ahead. I think I'm probably going to do that. I'm going to buy a Starlink and I'll get it installed in my plane. I'd have to have an STC for my Mooney, but for my Glass Air, which is an
Mm,
experimental, I think I could just install it and put a fairing on and have it done.
nice.
Uh, but then we could theoretically do a live stream while I'm flying. Like
That's crazy.
everyone, like we could literally just take everybody on the stream for a flight
That's
and
amazing.
go have some fun and talk about eVTOLs while I'm giving someone a tour of either the coast of Georgia or the North Carolina mountains.
That's awesome. That
So,
is so cool. That is so cool.
but but with that, we should probably close things up. I've got about another 2.5 hours of driving to go.
Fair.
But guys, everybody in the stream, our goal here is this is for everybody. That's like this is your channel. If you have questions about eVTOLs, about just this bow wave of technology that's about to hit us all in the face, I mean, it is a tsunami that's coming. If you've got questions, if about what we think, um, if it's anything about eVTOLs, if it's about just drones in general, what the world is going to look like in the next 5 years, we're really excited about what it's going to be and what's coming. And obviously, this is an investing channel as well. There's a lot of money to be made. And if you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button, subscribe to the channel. We're growing, and the quicker we grow, the more we're going to be able to bring better content for you. And all of this is voluntary at this point. None of us get paid. We're passionate about what we about just aerospace. We're passionate about investing and what's going to really make our world a much, much better place in the next 5 to 10 years.
Very well said, Mark. I love it. If you love what
So,
Mark said, hit that like and subscribe. We would appreciate it. But no, it's a great community growing. And again, yeah, no, it's not even again. It's a great community growing, and I appreciate everybody that takes the time out on their Sunday to come check out what we have to say, and love the chat in the love the community in the chat. And it was a pleasure to do this today. And we'll probably be back
fantastic.
on Wednesday or Thursday, and hope to see you guys there.
Yep. And we'll get Reese and Reese back soon, and hopefully we can, or Liam and Reese, hopefully we can
Yeah,
get hopefully get them back soon. and because we know that they're really the nucleus of this. They were the original creators, and we'll always give prudence to them. So,
Absolutely.
all right, everyone, have an amazing rest of your night, and hopefully we have a great week in the market ahead.
Love it. Have a great week, everybody.
See y'all.